Just a real quick brief introduction. My name is Jason Reynolds. I'm the captain of the Bloomsburg Fire Department. Scott McBride, Deputy Chief. Ryan Kamenicki, one of our firefighters and student here at BU. We're going to talk real briefly about some fire safety things. We're going to go over some fire extinguishers, and then there's actually live fire training outside in the parking lot today. The first and most popular fire extinguisher you're going to find in any type of building, and they are predominant here on campus, is what we call an ABC fire extinguisher. Okay, it's a powder fire extinguisher. The markings on the side, you'll see down the side, are ABC. When we talk about ABC, we mean it can be used on a Class A, B, or C fire. A Class A fire would be anything that can turn to ash. So any wood or paper, that's a Class A fire. If it's a Class B fire, that's any type of liquid that would boil. Gasoline, oil from a fryer. And a Class C fire is anything energized electrical. So it'll be a current fire, like a wall outlet or an extension cord or a multi-purpose outlet that you would plug in. That would be a current fire, or a computer that's still plugged in. Those are type C fires.
Another thing with the ABC extinguishers is they can actually damage electronic equipment. Like for your computers, the powder migrates and it can actually settle on your computer and cause them not to work. We've had computers like in rooms next door to where a fire extinguisher was activated that didn't work. A couple days later it stopped working.
So this would be a powder extinguisher used for an ABC fire. The other one we brought today with us is a carbon dioxide extinguisher. Gives off carbon dioxide gas, so when it comes out, it's actually going to be cold. Usually very noticeable by the large horn on the end of the hose. You're going to use this on a Class A, B fire. Not really recommended for a Class C fire because it's going to give off some ice chunks in that, so it is liquid related, so obviously we want to keep liquids away from anything with electrical current. And then our last one we brought is what we call a water can, or it's an air pressurized water can, which means it's filled with water and then with just regular compressed air. It's going to discharge water. You're going to use that mostly on just a Class A type fire. We don't want to use it on a Class B fire, boiling liquid fire, because I'm sure you've heard when you have fires on your stoves and that you don't want to put anything on that's going to make it splash. And you don't want to put it on a current fire for electrical hazard purposes. But these are the three most popular ones. These are ones that we carry on our fire trucks, and when we come here or we go to a fire. When we go into a building fire, a lot of times we're going to take this one with us. Instead of taking a hose, sometimes if it's a smaller fire, it causes a little bit less damage unless it's a bigger fire. They're very simple to use. Today, we talk about using them as, remember the acronym called PASS, P-A-S-S? It means you're going to pull the pin out of the fire extinguisher like this to use it. You're going to aim the hose at the base of the fire. So wherever the fire would be originating from, don't aim it at the flames. Aim it at the base of the fire. You're going to squeeze the handle down, and you're going to sweep back and forth at the base of the fire to put the fire out. It's the same thing for all of the ones here present today. The other thing to make sure on your fire extinguishers today is that make sure that if they have a gauge on them, as long as that needle is pointed in the green space, that means the fire extinguisher is in good working condition as far as being pressurized and the agent that's inside to be discharged. If it's outside of the green area, notify your faculty here on campus and they'll get it replaced and get it repaired. I'll let you add some things.
One of the down and dirty ways to recognize the fire extinguishers, of course, okay, these two are red, this is silver, okay? But if you look at the end of the hose, okay, I don't know if you can see. If you look at the end of the hose, see the small cone on the end of the hose? That's indicative to your general purpose ABC fire extinguisher. That's probably your first line of defense, okay? They kind of get a little bit more complicated as they go up and the application becomes a little bit different. You see a big cone like this, that's a CO2. You really want to be very careful on how you use it, because that one can make things worse if you don't know what you're doing. And then you come up to the ones where we use, and they have a small hose like this, water. We use it on different things, but then that's an application. That's what we're trained to do. You're going to be using primarily this fire extinguisher. Has anyone ever had to use a fire extinguisher or used one on a fire? Very good. If you have a fire in the building, okay, they are made for smaller fires. They will put out quite a bit of fire, but if you've never used one before, we're going to give you the training on how to use one. If you're afraid to use one, or if you're not sure, don't be afraid to not use it. You're not obligated to use the fire extinguisher, okay? You're not a firefighter. You don't have to use it. Use it to protect yourself if you have to. If you don't feel comfortable, bail. But keep your back to the door. Always keep your eye on the fire, back to the door, back yourself to the door. Once you get to the door, feel free to turn around and burn a trail out of the building, okay? Don't worry about it. Call us. That's what we're here for. But, you know, don't feel obligated to use it. If anybody has a respiratory problem, asthma, if you have like some sort of allergies, could be to like ammonia. If you're sensitive to ammonia in houses, bleach, stuff like that, you're going to want to be careful when you use one of these, because they will put off, once they hit the fire, they do create an ammonia-based like gas. It'll come off of it. They can be irritant. They taste horrible. I'll let you know that right now. They taste absolutely horrible. But like I said, if you don't feel comfortable using it, don't put yourself in a compromised position to use one, okay? It's better to run and be here tomorrow to talk about it than to try to use one and not know how to do it. That's why we're giving you the training. Please, when you go outside, feel free, use it, okay? Get your hands-on experience. That's the best way to learn how one of these work and what they'll do. Okay, you're not going to be like, you're not going to run right up on the fire and stand there and bury the fire extinguisher in the fire. That's not the way it works. You just keep yourself at a safe distance, and you'll start to sweep for the fire, you know, from a safe distance back, okay? If you go outside and the fire doesn't go out, do not be surprised, okay, because they're using petroleum-based products out there. It's for demonstration purposes. It's for letting you to see exactly how it's going to react. Some of them may not go out because we're using the fire extinguishers. The policy here is, if you're going to dump a fire extinguisher, dump it all. Use the whole thing. Don't stop. Squeeze on that thing until it doesn't have anything else coming out of it. It's going to cost the same amount to recharge it, and it's going to cost the same amount to clean it. Okay? It does involve cleanup because this stuff is fine. It's like baby powder when it comes out.
Real briefly too, is fire extinguishers are intended for the starting stages of a fire. So if you, let's say, have a trash can on fire or a small computer fire, use them for that. If it has gone further than that, where the trash can is now on fire and it's going up the wall and across the ceiling, that is not a fire that you should attempt to fight. That is a fire that, even if you find a fire, activate the fire alarm first, pull a pull station, tell somebody, call 911, and then attempt to put the fire out. But you want to give your peers, your co-workers, your student body, time to get out of the building and be safe when they exit the building.
I got a question to ask real quick. In this building, are there any UPS uninterrupted power supplies in this building? Okay. Be very, very particular. If a UPS catches on fire, that is one where I would suggest notifying someone, turning around and getting away, because the UPS has the ability to react adversely when you hit it with certain things. They can, I've seen case studies where they've exploded. Okay, so if it's a USP for a power supply for a computer room or something like that, computer lab or whatever, notify somebody and go ahead and get out. Let us take care of that. Okay.
The other thing that's important too is if you have a fire alarm and you're leaving the building, make sure that you have a meeting area planned for the students that you're working with and your faculty, where you're going to meet when you leave the building, and make sure that everybody is accountable. If you're missing somebody from your group or your party that you're with, tell somebody, tell the first person that arrives, whether it be the campus police, the town police, the fire department, or the ambulance, tell them that somebody's missing and is possibly in the building yet, so we know that we have somebody trapped in the building and we need to go in and find them. And if you know where they might have been working at or their location, that helps us as well too.
Yeah, because that completely changes our mode of thought. All right, we're life first, property second. Okay, if somebody's left in the building and you're not sure, we're gonna initiate a search. That's why it's very important to know who you're working with, even if you have a buddy or whatever for that day. Have a meeting point and be able to at least give us a really good, judgment of who's not accounted for and where the last place you saw them. Because then we're going to go do what we need to do to get that person out. Okay, we change our complete mode of thought on what we're doing that day. Does anybody have any questions?
Alright, only I've seen people do this. If you have like an irresponsibly good time and you have a fire extinguisher fight, What can happen to you?
Well, first of all, if you've had a fight with a fire extinguisher, there's a very good chance that you are going to get fined if you're caught. Because I'll tell you what, if I find you doing it, I'm going to make sure you get fined. No, I'm just saying. I'm just saying because there are video cameras in a lot of places. But number one, that's not what they're used for. That's not their intended purpose. Okay. Number two, yeah, you can create asthmatic problems for someone for the rest of their life. Okay. Get it in their eyes once and see what happens. You can blind them. Okay. That's not what they're used for. Have I seen it? Yeah, because I've been called in the middle of the night to come out. I know exactly what's happening. I will tell you on campus, I don't know what their punishment is for it, but if you do it downtown and they catch you on camera, we can probably have it pushed for the Fire and Panic Act of 1976, and we can have you fined very, very extremely harsh, if we choose to.
I seen you on TV having a few times, and I was like, that was kind of funny.
YouTube has a lot of good stuff on it too. There's other intended purposes for these too, but I won't go into that because you guys will exercise that one.
The biggest thing to remember though is use them for what they're intended for so nobody gets hurt. The other thing, answer for you, Jay?
Yeah, I think there were questions over here when I answered yours. Did somebody back there have a question?
I had raised my hand because like a week ago someone had let off a fire extinguisher in my apartment.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know it was like a fire extinguisher let off because it looked like an actual fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like why does that fire extinguisher make it so smoky in the area that I couldn't like breathe to go into my apartment?
Because what happens is when the fire extinguisher is dispensed, it's under pressure, and it'll atomize whatever's in there. Okay, that basically it does a couple of things, but when dispensed, it will take up a large area. It will make it hard to breathe because it's a fine particulate. Okay, it's like a dust. It's like baby powder. If anybody's ever been around baby powder, it gets in your lungs and it makes it hard to breathe. It's powdered sugar's the same way. If you ever gone to eat a powdered sugar donut, you inhale before you eat it and then suck that stuff in. It gets in your lungs and it's a bad deal because it does. It makes you cough, it makes you hack, and it is an irritant. It will, because the chemicals that are inside of it are made to put out fire. They're not made to breathe. Okay, so and it will. Some things to think about is this particulate will hang in the air quite a while. It does have different characteristics from smoke. You won't be able to see it, but what you will notice is there will be probably a yellowish hue to the air. It'll look yellow. Okay?
It was like white and pot. It was like all up on my clothes, like a white powdery.
It looks white, but it's actually, if you were to put it next to baby powder, it's more of a yellow color. But if in doubt, when you don't know, and we've had this call already, if you don't know, pull the alarm. We'll come regardless. I mean, if you don't know if it's a fire.
And when I pull that alarm, I'm not going to get like ridiculed for it not being
No.
a fire.
No, you would get ridiculed if you pulled an alarm just because you wanted to, which we've had that happen quite a bit. If you pull an alarm and there's not a reason for it, a purpose for it, then you're putting everybody else's lives in danger because what happens if someone gets hurt when they leave? Honestly, it sounds like a really cool prank to do, but it's not. Anything that involves a fire extinguisher, a fire protection system, fire prevention system, sprinklers, any of that type of stuff, it might seem like it's pretty cool. There's always a chance someone's going to get hurt. There's always a cost incurred. Okay? It's just not, in the scheme of things, a relatively smart thing to do. All right? Because they're life safety things. They're not something to mess with. But in your case, if you don't know if it's a fire or not, definitely pull the alarm. We're going to come. The only time that I would say not is if you're the one that depressed the fire extinguisher and then you pull the alarm. That's a bad deal. Okay? Any other questions? We want you guys to get as much training as you can. So if you don't have any more questions, you can follow firefighter Ryan Kamenicki down to the fire engine and we're going to do some fire extinguisher training.
Right, I'm tired.
That's how you go into me.
There you go. All right. There you go.
Y'all might as well hire me. Y'all might as well hire me.
Remember too, we need 3 groups. Yeah, I know. Not all, everybody might not
Hopefully you don't.
Oh my God. I love how they sound.
We're running through these pretty quick. All right, somebody change the fluid over there.
Beautiful.
Here, she never would have got out. Bunsy, I got another water bucket for you. Okay. What do you want? I didn't like that one too long. We'll get this going here.